Hello, Facebook. I'm going to make sure that the sound is okay on my end before I get started. Okay. So it's been some time since I have been on Facebook Live. So hello, friends, and anyone who jumps on to watch this. So as you may or may not know, some of you know, I have recently completed writing my first book, currently in ebook form, eventually print, but right now fully on ebook form, called Devoted. So I wanted to take an opportunity today to share a little bit about that and also to read a chapter of it here live so that you can experience a bit of what this is about and really like where my heart is in the expression of the communication and the experience of what went into creating this book through my lifetime. So just a little bit about why and where the idea for Devoted came from. Over the last, I'll say like 8 months to a year, I have been pretty deep and invested into learning about devotion to the masculine. As a woman, I feel very called to that particular call and need in our world, like now more than ever. The feminine and masculine within, but also externally. And I want to highlight and give credit to kind of how that started and evolved for me was being a part of Jillian Pothier's communities, different fields and teachings, so that I could have like my own experience of that in my life, my own awakening, and partake in that like personally and collectively and be able to share and witness that. So Devoted is sectioned into 3 portions. It is devotion to self, it is devotion to God, and it is also devotion to the masculine. And I personally feel the strong importance of those 3, how they come together and intertwine so that it is an honest, not just expression, but like reality and way of being. So there is a huge, like what I said earlier as like need in devotion to the masculine. And I also know that through my experience, that comes from a place of honest knowing of self and where God comes into self. And so I sectioned this out into 3 different portions in my book so that I could share the experience of that in my own life. One of them is called Letters, and that's what I'm going to read from today. I'm going to read one of the letters. These letters are, and this is actually how I've always wrote in my life, is to me. Writing unfolded for me at a very young age as like a way to communicate with parts of myself that I just didn't know how to do outwardly, kind of awkwardly, but it was always a really beautiful like communion to me. And they were like written as like letters to me. At a young age, I didn't quite understand what I was doing, but I can even see now, like going back and reading something I wrote when I was 14 and like just feeling the weight of like my mothering sense into myself. And so really what it is, if you're familiar with inner child work, reparenting, that's essentially what it is. And just an outlet of that for me to speak to myself. And some of the feedback that I've received from that is others having the ability to do that through receiving my writing, is like being able to commune with themselves in words that they may not have, or language they may not have been able to put words to prior. And the whole goal of sharing Devoted is that you, whoever reads, has an opportunity to find that within you. It's not to take my words and make them yours. It's to unwind any like layers, story, or experience that like pulled you away of that communion to you, so that you get to have this experience in your own way. Because these are a lot of my experiences. These are my words. These are my stories. I take full ownership of that. They're not yours, which I also understand. And I like preface this very clearly in my book is, I don't expect you to agree with everything I say. Like half of the time I write something, I'll read something I wrote 4 years ago and I'm like, good Lord, like cringe. What was I saying? But like sometimes it ends up being like a really, really beautiful experience that I get to come back to. And so I own that, knowing you may not agree with all of it. I really, for a period of time, felt like I took so much risk in sharing these experiences and beliefs because it's all like imaginatory. Like my writing is, I say this a lot, it's whimsical. It really is, because it comes out of like visionary experiences that I'm having simultaneously interacting with life. It's like the spiritual and the physical just constantly interweaving, and there's such a unique form of that for each individual human. And so all of that being said, because I have no goal of you taking my experience and being like, I gotta have a courting experience. I trust that you'll take what's for you, leave what isn't, so that you get to have your own beautiful divine communion with yourself, with God, and to the men in your life. I'm very, very passionate about seeing the totality of women, like of ourselves, being in full, honest form of love for self, of devotion to God, and also of like true honor and reverence and respect for the men in our lives. And that's just a huge place in my heart. So that's where a lot of this comes from. As a preface and background, I'm sure I will share more over time. As I said today, I'm going to read from letters. So it's a letter written to me titled The Good Girl, and what I experienced through who I believed I had to be in order to get through life in a way that felt like would give me the love and approval that I needed. So that's where this comes from. And you may resonate with it, you may not. My ask is that if it does resonate and you do like have a felt sense of it, that you would share that here with me, with others, and that you would share this video with anyone in your life who you feel like could use it, so that they could have their own experience of communion. So I'm going to start reading this chapter. These are like, they're very short. They're not long chapters. They're just like little short poems, letters, verses of writing, which you may have already seen on here on Facebook, because I have shared a lot of this. This one I have not. So this one is titled The Good Girl. Who is this little Miss Good Girl I refer to? She believes her purpose in life is to never do any wrong. Perfection is her goal. Every moment of her life points in the direction of a false promise. She strives to be a straight-A student at all costs. Performing in sports like gymnastics and cheer, where it's all about straight lines, glittery eyes, and landing a perfect 10 at all costs, including herself. Living in a mental prison where nothing she does is ever enough. Always ready to be rejected or called wrong. Prepared for the very moment she despises. For somewhere underneath the disguises, she knows that it won't ever be enough. At least not for the characters in her own mind. The tyrants. The ones who stay criticizing her every move. Life for the good girl is lived on the defense, never on the offense. She fears what every other human considers of her, judges as her, perceives to be her. Every decision she makes is based upon the outcome of everyone else in the room, never for a moment stopping to consider how she truly feels. What is it that she loves? What she thinks? Unless, of course, disguised in the light of winning their approval and love. I see her, sitting with a perfectly slicked back ponytail, her abs in tip-top shape for her next competition, feeling the sensation of hunger, yet questioning if it's actually real. She learned to question her feelings from a very young age, consistently making her own feelings wrong. She spends hours in front of the mirror, picking out the places that could just be a tiny bit different. As her mama sits with her to brush her hair, tears run down her face. It's just not perfect enough. Every bump in her hair reminds her that the sensations in her body feel like too much to hold. Why doesn't anyone listen? When will they understand that I'm screaming under here, aching to be seen, to be heard, to be loved? I see her, I hold her, I choose her, even here. Even in the route of chasing what is an endless race and a useless game. Terror in her eyes, anger in her bones, fearful of the world. She craves to find color again, to feel safe with that color in the world. She's too young to voice these sensations, or so she tells herself. What does she actually crave? What is it her bones are truly aching for? Love. Undeserved, unbridled, unplanned. Who is she underneath all of the masks she built to protect herself? She is wild. She is fierce. She is powerful. She is all of herself. She is the very embodiment of love. The same love that she craves to know and to hold. Love that isn't asking for perfection. Love that knows deep down within every part of herself she never had or will ever have to earn this, for she can't, no matter how hard she tries. This endless race and chase, I whisper to remind her. My love, you can be done now. You can open up your eyes now. It is safe to witness it all. The mess on the counter, the crumbs on the floor, every bump in your ponytail, every stain on your shoe. You are vibrant, not because you fixed yourself, but because vibrance is the essence of you. Colorful vibrancy, color that changes the world. This is you. You cannot do a thing, not a single thing to make this real. Nothing you earn or perform makes this a part of you. I want you to start painting again. Paint on a blank sheet of paper with no structure and no rules. Paint a sunset the way you see its beauty. Don't pick up your paintbrush to fix what you deem to be errors. There are no errors in this painting. It is an emanation of you. You are God's paintbrush. He is the painter. He becomes more evident in the world when you are expressed just as you. This is your canvas, life. It only grows dim when you shy away from the essence of you. Forget about the lines, staying stick straight. Make a wave in one or two. Baby girl, one day you will write. And when you do, you won't for a moment stop to think about what comes from your hands to the page. You simply let it all flow through you. When you write, write, and keep writing, without stopping to consider if it's likable or enjoyable to your peers. If they don't like it or approve it, so be it. Your art is always first and foremost for you. You are the most beautiful girl I know. That has nothing to do with how perfect you keep yourself. It is the same essence I told you about earlier. Nothing you can do to earn, nothing you can do to make better. Please don't try to alter yourself to look differently than the fullness of who God made you. Makeup is fun, nails too. Take all these extras lightly though, none of them make you any more beautiful than who you are as you. Nothing you do or don't do will change the way I get to know you and I get to love you. I ask you one thing. Explore every facet of yourself. That is the only way you get to explore the world. That is the only way you get to explore those you choose to love. Never stop exploring, never stop allowing. Always continue expressing. Your life, your color, your isness, that is a gift to everyone around you. So that was The Good Girl, part of Devoted. If you watched, I appreciate you watching, and if it touched any part of you, I would love to hear. And this is what I know to be the number one piece of the three parts. What I also know to be as the Trinity is where we come into communion with self, and that conversation, however it looks for you, is one of the most beautiful, important conversations you get to have. So I would love to hear if anything that you have in receivership of that. And I look forward to sharing more of Devoted with you all.